Well, the persons who invited you here probably saw or does see something in you that they want to give you or introduce you to this gift. Because it is indeed a gift. It's I guess you could call it an authentic introduction into personhood. I have a judgment that there are parts of ourselves that we don't know anything about. And so, after being here, and I'm sure the people that you've been around, you hear them speak a little different, handle situations maybe a little different. They have some tools to work with, and you may ask, or they may say, hey, you know what? There's a place I want you to come and hear some stuff, and you too can maybe get some of this. Now, if we could give it away, we'd be standing on the corner, on every street corner, giving it away. But it don't work like that. How it works is our soul tells us. It requires us to do some work on ourselves. And some of you may know me from recovery. I'm a recovering addict, and I do the work inside. I did the work inside the rooms. I joined in with Journey and went even deeper. That's what it's done for me. And hopefully after this presentation, you might want to take the journey and give yourself that gift.
Good afternoon. It is afternoon. Yeah. So, this is a redux of a process we did last month, but it's going to be a little truncated. I'm not going to do the full presentation, but I got a call this morning or last night.
This morning woke me up.
Yeah, that I was going to be doing this. And the good part about it is it's not rehearsed. I mean, it's not like that. So I'm going to ask you to play some parts for me, if you. I'm going to ask you. But I'm going to ask the membership to play some small roles. And what I ask our visitors, our guests, to do is as much as possible to remain open. Now, the good thing about being open is you can always close. It's a try-on. The good thing about trying on different concepts is you can always go back to your original concept. We don't require any belief, or we don't have any doctrine, or I'm not going to introduce you to some strange doctrine or something to say, now you must believe. That ain't about to happen. I just maybe a different way of seeing things. Because it works kind of like this. As a child has no, as they say in some books, mental defense against whatever it's told. Because of the child's unique relationship in its family, or however it's brought up, the child is open and very, very trusting of the information that is given. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the information is correct or in the child's best interest. Because oftentimes the very people that are providing the information to the child got bad information too. And so if it's passed forward generationally, what happens is we get this litany of information that doesn't work in our best interest. But it works. You get what I'm saying? It works. It just may not work in our best interest. And because the child or a child is rarely going to challenge the people that gave him that information, what happens is the child memorializes, that is, just remembers the information and concretizes it, makes it hard in their head, and it becomes that child's reality. And oftentimes, that information puts us in a position to be maladjusted to the way they find the world that they're living in operates. And if that child doesn't have, or doesn't even know it has options, or know how to utilize outside options, the child may find itself in a very, very difficult predicament. And I know I did. Personally, I did. And most of these people in this room probably did. Now, I'm one to say that I don't think there's such a thing as normalcy. And I don't think it's too much sanity on this planet, except for very few people that are not isolated. I don't think you could perhaps live in this particular culture we live in. I'll get to that a little bit later. Everybody has a different conception of culture that we live in and could possibly be sane. And you may disagree, and that's good. I want you to disagree. And I want you to think about it. So we're going to start off with the entity. That little sweet darling. I want you to come up here. I knew that. That was the medicine I take on. Did I touch it? Come on here. Put it around. Stand right here for now. Now, hold this. Say that. Say those 3 words.
You, I,
Say it loud so he can hear you, so they can hear you.
you, I, me.
Yeah. So this is a representation of her, of the I in her, of the me in her, and you. So if you just kind of look at it like that, this could be a representation of you. When you're first born, when you come into this realm, when you're pushed forward, when you come forward, when you're born, they call it, right? And this child, this baby, comes as a perfect representation. In other words, there's nothing negative about itself imprinted on the brain computer. I don't mean the mind, I mean the brain. 2 different things. It is a perfect composite of what is to become a person. And everything else that happens to her will be as a result of human intervention. And her conception of herself is going to be as a result of the information that she's going to get about herself. And that comes in a variety of ways, okay? But she comes here perfect. Now she has to be programmed. And dependent upon the culture of that program, and then when I'm saying culture, I'm not talking about no black culture. I don't know what that is. I'm not talking about no white culture. I don't know what that is. I'm talking about culture. That is the culture we live in. Because it ain't too much difference in black culture, what you call black culture, and white culture. I bet you it ain't. And I challenge you, if you try to put it up to me, I bet you I can reflect back to you that you put on your clothes the same way, you eat the same food. See, what you're going to tell me about is tradition, styles, customs. That's what you're calling culture. That's not what the word culture means. The word culture, this is important for this presentation, goes back to the word cult, which goes back to the word cultivate. And if you look the word up, I just bet you're going to get to agriculture. Because culture is the way a group of people get their food. And how you get your food is going to determine how you behave. That's another story for right now. But you come here, you, I, me. And so now she has, in this case, to reflect back the society that she lives in, how they have chosen for her to do and react. This is how the ego is created. There are certain positions in the family unit, there's roles that she's going to have to play, and then those roles are going to now play out in the larger society. But you'll see what I'm saying. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But I'll say, let's call this culture on which a society is created under the construct. It is with structure, and it's by no accident that we created a pyramidal structure, because this particular culture we live in is called what? Say it loud. Civilization. That's the name of this culture we live in. There ain't about 4 or 5 cultures on the planet. We just happen to live in civilization. Civilization goes to the word civil. The word civil means city. And if you do the epistemological research of the word city, you'll see why it came to be called civilization. And it ain't what you've been led to believe unless you already know what civilization is. Some people believe they know, and then some people know. It's 2 different concepts than what I was taught in school. Now, you may have went to one of them good schools that explained to you how this thing got started. I didn't go to one of those good schools. I went to public school, or compulsory government education. That's what public school is, compulsory government education. And anything that's compulsory means they make you go, and if you don't go, you get a penalty. And if you got to make me go somewhere, I want to know, why is that good for me? If you got to make me go. See, something is in our best interest, you don't have to make me do. That's the way nature is set up. I'll do it for myself. But anyway, we live in the construct. And if you notice, they talk about it a lot now. At the very top of this construct, if you imagine these as stratas of people, about 1% in the culture we live in, civilization, control all the rest. And if we made these different, what you'll see is that most of the people on the planet live down here and work down here. And that your energy that you put out is designed to create an excess so they can use that excess for their betterment. Now, does anybody disagree with that? How many people in there get paid exactly what they put out, what they're worth? How many people in there get paid too much?
Is that a thing?
Yeah. So that is an agreement. Because the way it works is, what we work is for the exchange of energy. You got it? That's all it is. And how the representation of that exchange of energy we call money. But that's just an agreed upon form of currency. That's all money is, a concept. It's not real. It's a concept. You follow me, young man? Money is a concept. Money has no intrinsic value. Matter of fact, about $43 trillion was lost in 2008. Where'd it go? Where'd it go, man? You remember when they lost it? You sure they lost it? I don't want to know. I've been looking because I can't find $43 trillion. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. What, Gene, if you get it?
I don't care if you say it real fast and get it in pen.
$43 trillion is a lot of money, and it just went somewhere. It went somewhere, all right. But anyway, I don't want to get off on that. But the construct has been around a long time, this particular construct. So let's just say it's been around at least 12 to 10,000 years, around that time. Probably longer, but let's just say it's agreed upon that it's been around that long. Now, the reason I say that, if you research civilization, you're going to find that it goes back to agriculture. You're going to find agriculture started, they say, either in the Nile Valley or in the lower Mesopotamia, around 10 to 12,000 years ago. I don't want to get caught up on that. You check that out for yourself. Don't believe nothing I'm telling you. Check that out for yourself and see if it's correct or not. So, Theo, come over here and stand. Step up just a couple steps. Step behind her.
One more. Step up.
Hold that up so they can see it and say, construct. Construct. And now, in order for this thing that we call the construct. It's just the name. Some people call it the system. Some people call it mother culture. In the 70s, they used to call it the man. Remember that? Yeah, it's the same thing. We're talking about the same thing. The system, the man, the mother culture, the construct. Whatever you, civilization, whatever you choose to call it, it is that system of thinking that they call them memes and a giant meme now that governs our thoughts and our feelings. You might say, no, it don't. Well, maybe not. Let's see. But in order for this to work and apply leverage to this, we need institutions. And there are a lot of different institutions, and I don't have enough people or placards of space to name them. So I'm just going to list some of the more poignant ones, some of the ones that we're all familiar with. And so, Jamal, you come up here and stand next to Theo, shoulder to shoulder, and say the word. Institution. Yeah, see, they're partners in crime. The institutions are partners in crime with the construct to guarantee something from you, or I, or me. Now, remember I talked at first about when this little jewel came on to this, was brought forth to this plane of existence, you call it birth. She was perfect, and she came into a system, and we call that system the family. Now, all families are functional to some degree. All families are dysfunctional to some degree. And all families are part of the construct, and all families are institutions. That's why they call it an institution of family. Family comes from the word familiar. Now, there's a structure in most families. You know, you got mama or daddy or grandmama or somebody raises you. Now, we can take family, right, and do the same thing to family. We can set up the same hierarchical structure because this is a hierarchy. We can set up almost an identical hierarchy in the family with somebody at the head, and then the hierarchy goes down. You know what I'm saying? Almost in every family, you're going to have somebody in charge, and then it goes down. Usually if it's a mother and a father, then you got the oldest child, and the oldest child usually be the hero, and then you got the next child, and usually the next child usually be the rebel, and then you have the next child usually be the lost child, and then you have a mascot, and it'll repeat itself in some order. And the time you remove somebody out of the family, the roles shift. So if daddy dies or daddy wasn't there, the roles shift. But almost always, because of how we live, it's set up in a hierarchy. Now the assumption is that this is the way it's always been. That's not true. It's not true. In every culture, man wasn't put there to be subservient to the woman wasn't put there to be subservient to the man. That's because you were told that doesn't mean it's true. That's just what you was told. That's what I was told. And that the husband is the head of the household. In indigenous cultures, that ain't true. In some indigenous cultures, that ain't necessarily true. But that's because what I was told, it had to be true. Well, when that family isn't functioning well, we can have some problems. But even if it's functioning well, it's always been pressure being put on it from the construct to bring it into compliance via its institutions. And society is an institution. Social, that's what society means. So I need somebody to play, I ain't gonna ask you, Jackie, you ain't got the word. Larry Rowe, would you play the family?
1-8.
Yeah. So just stand next to me. I'm about to move these from back here, but I'm about to get out y'all's way. So if we can think about, excuse me, I need to lean on you for a second, then I can go get that. If we can think about family as the receiving unit, that family is the place that where we all get set up.
Make sure he can see.
What now?
The young man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Can you see that? Okay. Yeah, I want you to be able to see everything. So the family is a receiving unit, and this is where we all first get to get used to being set up. That's where it first starts. Now, depending on the kind of family you come out of, you may get sent. Brian, can you come up? Stand right in front of Jamal. And hold that up. That's right in front of him. Right there to your cheek. You might get sent to whatever religious institution you get sent to. Now, for most of y'all in there, that was probably church. Church. Now, I'm not going to rag church. I'm not going to do that. But it is exceedingly hard for 3 or 4 or 5-year-old to understand what they're talking about in church. It's exceedingly difficult to what they're talking about in church, even though you probably think you did. And I'll just ask, can I pick on you a second? Sure. That book that they tell you that they're reading from, what is it called? What's the name of it? The Bible, but it's got 2 words on the front. It's got Bible. It's got, huh? Holy Bible. That's right. Holy. Not thinking this as Holy Bible. What does that mean? Listen carefully, because that's a real question I just asked you. What does those 2 words mean?
Holy Bible?
Yeah.
Truth?
Not necessarily. I don't think that's what that means. Now you're struggling with this. Yeah. Why? Can you tell us what it means? No.
That's all I can go with.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. You see, everybody in here can give us a different interpretation, and it has a meaning. It has a meaning. Oh, we'll get it. You can ask, I've asked preachers, and they couldn't tell me what it meant. They would tell me, I had a preacher give me a 5-minute talk on what he believed that it meant. And when I showed him, he was like, well, I'm a And so that's what I mean about that. And I simply use that exercise to show you how it's impossible for a 5-year-old to know these concepts, because the people sometimes just saying it don't even know. The word Holy Bible simply means healthy book. Holy means whole. Whole means healthy. Look it up in your dictionary. Bible means biblos, book. That's all it means. That's all.
Healing book.
Healing book. That's what it means. Makes sense when you think about it like that. But when you get Rep Chicken Bone up there saying it like that, all of them don't, but some of them do. And they don't know what they're talking about. If they're giving you bad information, guess what you're hearing? Or a lie. Yeah. Anything that's not the truth is a lie. I don't care what his intention is. It's still a lie. Because a lie doesn't have to be nefarious. It doesn't have to be evil. Because if you look up the word lie, that's all you're going to find out, that there's something that's not true. Stuff starts taking on different connotations now, don't it? You know, when you sit up there, I used to go to church as a little one. And back then, they don't do it as much now, but they used to have these guys used to shout in these grovel voices, and they go, and I sit a little boy, and I go, and everybody in the church would go, amen. You know how everybody's head down, amen. And I go, how do they understand what he's saying? And so God must don't like me, because I don't understand a word he's saying. It sounds like he's saying, I come to find out later, they didn't know what he's talking about either. They was just in a position where they was used to saying, amen. But a little child is concrete literal. They hear everything as it is. You see what I'm saying? They can't understand metaphors. So now you get the child used to doing things that they don't understand, but they just do them anyway, right? They don't question it, because one thing I know, I didn't have to go, but my friends couldn't question nothing about church and God. I mean, that wasn't going to happen. So. But anyway, now at about 5 years old, they send you somewhere else. And oh boy, this shit is about to happen to you now. So Iris, would you come up here? You've been an educator. Most of y'all gonna call it school. They send you off to school. You know, if you couldn't pronounce it, all the kids laugh at you. How you say school in little boys?
Cool.
How you say it?
Cool.
School. That's what Landon used to say. Go to school. Go to school. And you got to do a real natural thing like go to the restroom, relieve yourself, and you just stand up like I did. I didn't know no better. Boy, I stood my little crazy ass up, just walked out the door. She said, huh? You? Yeah. Where you going? This way it sounded to me. I'm going to the bathroom. You didn't raise your hand. I'm thinking, because I cussed even back then. God damn it, didn't nobody tell me I had to raise my hand. But that was silly. I was like, well, what does raise your hand mean? You get what I'm saying? Ain't nobody told me nothing about raise your hand. What does, I don't know what okay. What the hell does this mean? Think about this now, 5-year-old. I didn't go to kindergarten. So I go to school and you raise your hand to go to relieve yourself. I didn't know nothing about that, so I just walked out and I got pounced upon. This didn't make no sense to me. Then I stood up every morning and I went, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, and I was like, what does this mean? Didn't matter if I didn't know what it meant. What was mattered is that I kept saying it so I would get used to doing shit just because they told me to do it. It was a program. How the hell a child in the first grade knows the pledge allegiance to the flag that was written by a woman in the early 1900s? That's to get you used to doing something, because I ain't never wanted to do it, because I was sleeping at that time in the morning. I just wanted to rest. But anyway, so they began to teach me things like C spot and C Jane kick. You know, those very difficult words to understand. However, my little great grandson is 4, and he's at a private school. It costs $18,000 a year. And you know what he's learning it for? Mandarin Chinese and Spanish. But here they're teaching my stupid ass run, spot, run at 6. Something wrong with this picture. See, I told you it was compulsory government education. It's free, and whatever you get for free, it ain't gonna be much. But anyway, so you go here, you get inculcated into this system. Now you got to deal with the peer pressure from them kids, you know, because you may not behave like something else. You know, you may have been taught to speak the King's English in a different way. And so because I say I instead of I get talked about or kicked in my ass. Isn't that ever happened to some of y'all? Or if you didn't dress like they dress, or if you didn't want to fight, if you were a different color. Come on now, come on. I ain't hear no amen here. Or if you were a different color.
Amen. Word.
See, if you was black, get back. If you was white, just damn near right. But my color was doo-doo brown. I didn't even matter. I could just stick around. You know, that's some insane shit, but I know I got hit with it when I got in school. I didn't particularly care about fighting. I went to Lincoln in the middle of Lauderdale Suburb. I didn't like to fight when I got there. Lord have mercy, if you don't fight in Lauderdale Suburb, you got a problem. Is this resonating? Resonate with you, young man? Okay, I just want to know. All right, so now we get here. Bosom buddies. Now we finna get to a tough one. Karen, you can't walk in here.
No, she's not. Thanks.
No, I can't get you. Roy Jones, yeah. You the right man for this. Stand behind Iris. Right man. Hold that up.
Hold it high so we can see.
Say it out loud. State. Almighty state. Now what am I talking about? I'm talking about governance. I'm talking about your municipalities. I'm talking about the police departments. Police departments. I'm talking about the police department. Come about the police.
Come on.
Y'all remember War? The song? Some of y'all don't remember War. The police, booty whoopers, ass kickers. The ones that can shoot your ass. If ain't a camera on you, they gonna get away with it. If it ain't a camera on you, they can beat your ass. If there ain't a camera on you, they can get away with it. If a camera's on you, because I saw them whoop Rodney King's ass a long, long time, and they acquitted the officers. The state. And you don't even question the state. You don't question them. The police serve the state. Don't believe it? Let this process, and what's that place down on Riverside? Valcro, what is it? Valero. It's a refinery. Let it leak some poison into the air and say it killed some of the people over in that area, right? Now here come Wyatt and me. What's your name again? Kedarius. Somebody else. What's your name again? And Arthur. We finna go over there and protest. Right? Man, that is righteous, man. They done murder some people over there with their negligence. So we get over there and we're doing our holding hands. Big and boss don't kill us. And boss sends his functionaries, the police, and they'll kill us. If boss tell them to. What is it? If they're looting, shoot to maim. If they're burning, shoot to kill. I think that was Mayor Richard Daley out of Chicago in 1968. That was the order he gave to the Chicago police at the Democratic National Convention, where they whooped Dan Rathers, the reporter's ass, on the floor. Some of y'all remember that blood running down this. Oh, you didn't think they do it to so-called white people. You got me? The police are functionaries of the state. That's their job. Just like when they send your ass over to Iraq to kill them people over there. And you got to go and kill them, like it or not. Or you go to the penitentiary. This is the system we live in. The state is backed up by the threat of violence. Always, you live in a culture that's supported by the threat of violence. Who want to argue? Who wants to challenge it? Don't go to court. See who they send to get your ass. They don't send nobody with no sponges on their hand to get you. They send some people with guns strapped to get you. Y'all rolling with me now? So this is another institution that makes sure that you comply with the construct, right? To keep you feeding the top of the construct. So now, I just shared with you some of the things that happen. The shock and awe of what happens when you don't comply. All the images that's coming across used to be cathode ray tubes, but now they are plasma and LED. It's called television. All those images that come over there. And you see what happens when a man is just running because he don't want to pay child support, and the man shoots him in his back 5 goddamn times. That's called vicarious trauma. Now, if you happen to be like me, where the police done tagged your ass, that's called direct trauma. Or if you happen to be like me, when you question authority in this place and they beat your ass, that's called direct trauma. Or if you happen to be like me in, where's the family? In that institution, when you did something against your father's will and he stripped you naked and beat you till you bled, that's called direct trauma. Or if you happen to be in that same institution where your father beat your mama's ass, that's called vicarious trauma. And if you stepped in front of your dad and said, please don't hit her daddy, and he knocked your ass airborne, that's called direct trauma. And you keep thinking about how much vicarious and direct trauma you are exposed to every day, you will see that you are subject to shock and awe. Because now, I just saw it, now I saw a movie last night about drones. And it was a very realistic movie about, they sit in these bunkers in Las Vegas, and they fly drone missions over in Iraq and Afghanistan. And they kill people. And then they get off work and they go home. Every day. Did you know they were doing that? They fly an unmanned flight in Afghanistan from Las Vegas. And they kill people.
Go home.
Like that, you know who they choose? This is what it said. You know who they choose to do those flights now? People good at Xbox. They designed the system off of Xbox to kill people. And when you see that kind of technology, well, this my son and I were watching television one day, and they showed these men in Iraq at a service station. And they was out there talking, having a good time, and across the street was this building. And all of a sudden, a missile about this high comes down. Did you see it, Cal? Came down the street, stopped at the corner, and turned in mid-flight, I swear to God, and went in the front door and blew the building up. Partner, that's shocking all. Because guess what? When he was a young man, along with myself and Dwight, they didn't have a lot to conquer urban violence. You see, they didn't know how to fight you when you was fighting in the city. But now they can just dial in your address. You live at what address? Don't say that, I'm just saying. You know, you live at that address, they go out there. The Black Panthers, tough guys, kick your ass, they're holed up in 134 so-and-so. And let's just dial us in. Your ass is gone.
It's in that corner.
That's shocking all. That's shocking all. They've been using that technique ever since there have been standing armies. That's 10,000-year-old technology. But now we can see it everywhere. So, Malika, can you come play Shocking All? Is this telling the story for you yet? But I want to show you something and then we'll be finished. I'm almost finished. Because I know Joanne anxious. I'm anxious for it because my legs hurt. Say shock and awe.
Shock and awe.
Say it like you mean.
Shock and awe.
And all of this, the totality of it, I want all y'all to say it, just say it till I tell you to stop. Say it out loud. Now, you know what this is creating in this young lady? Captain.
Yes.
Say it again. Come on up, Captain. Stand right next to her. Stand next to her. Say that out loud.
Emotional cognitive dissonance.
Now, does everybody know what that means? If you don't, or maybe you say it again, it's dissonance. And look at that last word, dissonance. That's sound. Sonance is sound. Dissonance is disharmony. The word is defined, the term is defined as when you hold two opposing thoughts. And what it creates inside, the dissonance cognitively, when you're trying to hold two opposing thoughts about something. And what it does to your brain, not your mind, what it does to your brain. It shit drives you crazy, is what it does. And if you ever identify all the opposing, the contradictory thoughts that you hold in your brain, you'll see why it's hard to be sane in this culture. That's why I told you in the beginning, I ain't never met nobody sane in this culture. The only normal people I've met in this culture are the normal people that are insane. That is the normalcy of this culture. We'll get to that later. And emotional dissonance. Don't you supposed to smile when somebody close to you? Don't you supposed to smile when somebody close to you die? Because they going home. The person that to a better place. And you got to be strong, ain't you, Jackie? You got to be strong. When the body is crying out for healing via grief, that's what the body is asking. That's what grief is about. But somebody whispers, you got to be strong. And so you be strong, and 3 years later, you drinking, smoking dope, shooting heroin, smoking whatever, buying, shopping, gambling. You're doing something to relieve that pain. That is what emotional dissonance, disharmony, the suggestion that when I'm mad, I just smile. You just lied to your body. You just made yourself lie. Because they told me when you get mad, you smile. Okay, put your foot out. That's bad. And what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna stomp on that foot, and I want you to smile.
That's not gonna happen.
You following me here? You know, somebody's violating you, and you're supposed to smile? Well, how am I gonna know I'm violating? What if I don't know I'm violating you? Can I touch you twice? You know, what if yours, you know, we all got that personal space we don't like. And what if yours is right here, and I just come up and go, hey, bro, I don't even know you. Hey, man, how you doing, man? Oh, man, you know what I'm saying? What you smiling?
But I am.
Yeah. Beautiful example, man. Beautiful. That's what I'm saying. But how often does this happen to us? Or, you know, we grin and bear it. I was told it just grin and bear.
Bring him back.
God damn it, yo, my big toe is hurting. That's what colored people did all our lives. We grinned and bear. We was waiting on somebody to have a change of heart, and they never had it. They still ain't today. They still killing us. That's what happens when your ass grin and bear. Ain't nothing funny about being fucked on. At least to me. And if something doesn't happen, and this is what Joanne is about to finna. Finna and folder. Is a fixing to is what finna is short for. Is about to do is via initiation. And here's what I mean about this. This is the last one. I'm finished, Joe. I want all of you to shake these things at that camera like this and say it out loud so he can hear you, so they can hear you back there. Now, freeze. Now watch this.
Me.
Well, where is she at? Where is she? Say it again.
Emotional dissonance.
You see how she gets lost? Get piled on? Where is the individual here? So y'all come on back. And you, I may step back forward. Folks, never in the history of history ever has there been mass freedom. It has never happened. It is impossible to happen. Did you hear what I just said? Never in the history of history has there been an event called mass freedom. Freedom is a one-by-one proposition. Only the individual can choose to free itself. That makes sense. See, I know you talking when Harriet Tubman came down there, she got 19. No, that's liberation. That's not freedom. Because freedom doesn't occur on the thing. Freedom occurs up here. Freedom is a concept. It's a concept. It's a thought. It's a way of being. It ain't what you do. And so without, without intervention, you have, say it again.
Religion.
Emotional
Shock and awe.
I go. Thank you all very much. Would you please hand the package back over to me? If not,